So today I'm going to be just explaining and showing the process of how to bake shadow maps for your interiors. There's already a tutorial on this, but it's missing a couple things, so I thought I guess, do my rendition of it. So to start off, what you're going to need to do is, for some reason, Blender decided to remove the shadow pass in the render. Here, I'll show you. For some reason, they removed the render pass shadow mode, so you have to use Blender 3.3 to do this. You can just download a portable version so you don't have to install it, but so just make sure you're using 3.3 if you're wondering why you're missing the render pass. So to start off, what you want to do is so I'm gonna bake for one of the rooms here. I've got my shell split up, so for this room, what I'm gonna do is select it, duplicate it, and then I'm gonna clear the parent real quick, like this. I'm gonna rename it real quick. That. Then I'm just gonna center the origin, geometry, then go into edit mode, select all, and then go and press Alt S to scale down, and then scale it down just a tiny bit. Then once you have it scaled down so it's inside your shell, like that, I'm gonna recenter the origin. Oh, whoops. Now that we have that done, what you can do is go to the materials and just remove all the materials. You can also remove the color attribute just to clean up things. Then what we're going to do is go into edit mode. What I would suggest doing is tidying up the mesh, because you don't need nearly as many vertices as your shell. So first what I'm going to do is merge, and then I'm going to press Alt J and then change these settings bottom left. Just copy what I did here. This just turns it into quad so it's easier to work with. So I'm just going to clean it up real quick, and then I'll cut it out of the video, and then I'll come back when I'm done. So now that we've got our mesh simplified and all tidied up, what we can do now is go ahead and so go to the materials tab here, add a new one, go to the shading tab, add a light fall off node, and then take the constant output and put it into the base color of the principled BSDF. Then add a new image texture, click new, name it something like something like that. I recommend doing at least 1000 by 1000. You can do higher, but I wouldn't go any higher than 2K. This is because if you have a big room, it'll look really shit if you have a low res shadow map. I'd go with at least 1Ks. I'm just gonna do 1K for this. Make sure you have your image texture selected as the active node, and go back to layout. And then what we can do now is switch to the rendered view, and make sure you have the render pass set to shadow. Then go to the render tab, and then under sampling you can turn on denoising for render. This is what I'm using. You can go ahead and just copy these settings. I think Optic X only works for NVIDIA GPUs, so you can use Optic or Open Image Denoise if you don't have that. Other than that, what you need to do is go to light paths and then max bounces. I just have all these set to 1. Then for clamping, just leave that default. Caustics, just uncheck the reflective and refractive. And then for film here, just enable the transparent checkbox. Don't enable any of these settings. And lastly, go to bake, then change the bake type to shadow, and then change the margin to 1 pixel. Then make sure you have your, oh, lastly, I forgot. Make sure you UV unwrap your mesh. So select it all, and then go into UV window, press U, and then Smart UV Project. You could probably pack this better or use a different packing method, but I'm just going to be leaving this default as it doesn't matter too much. So now that we've got it UV unwrapped, we can go ahead and just click bake. Might take a second depending on how good your computer is, but usually it doesn't take too long. It'll say at the bottom here the progress. And now that our texture is baked, what we can do is go back to material view, then go to the UV window, and then make sure you save your new shadow map. Before we do anything else, you notice how it's like gray and just black? It's not that vibrant. Like there's no white. What we're gonna do is open it in Photoshop or like GIMP or whatever. Doesn't really matter, but I'm just gonna open it up and go to image, and then I'm going to change the levels so it's a lot more white, like this. This is just so that there's less like shadow where there shouldn't be, if that makes sense. So just something like that. Then I'm just gonna save this. I'm gonna save it as DDS format. And then for the DDS format, I'm just gonna be using BC3 compression. Now that that's done, what we can do is go back to here, remove our new material we added, go to Solums, and then add a decal ambient only shader. Create it, go to shading, and just add our new texture. Then now what we can do is do the vertex colors. So I'm going to be using vertex. Actually, wait. We're going to switch back to 3.6 Blender. So to do so, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to apply all the apply all the transforms on our mesh, and then I'm just going to rename this real quick so it follows the rest of the naming schemes. Now that that's renamed, what I'm going to do is just create the drawable. And I'm going to just go ahead and export this. Then I'm going to open up Blender 3.6. Will be like the latest version where your project's going to be. Then I'm just going to import our exported XML. And then I'm just going to add the texture again. What? Oh, I used the wrong texture. Now that we have our thing imported, you can see there's a small issue here. Like I'm just gonna merge it real quick and then clear the custom normals. I'm just gonna fix this overlapping here real quick. Drag that out a bit. Other than that, everything seems fine. So I'm gonna go into local view. Then I'm going to go into solid mode. Then with Vertex Color Master, this is an add-on. It should be free on GitHub. So I'm going to remove the existing color attribute, add a new one called color 1. Just leave it blank for now, like black. Then go to vertex mode or vertex paint mode. Then in the Vertex Color Master tab, I'm going to isolate the alpha channel. Then I'm going to isolate. Then I'm going to paste in this hex. It's 4F4 F4F. So you can just copy that. Actually, wait, no. What I'm going to do is go to the value here in HSV, the alpha, and type in 0.14. This is the value I used. You can obviously change this, but this value works best for me. Wait. 0.14. There we go. And once you've got the alpha painted, oh wait, what just happened? Why isn't it? Okay, yeah, there. Then go ahead and apply it once you've done it. And go to the red channel, isolate that. Then I'm going to use this hex 13 13 13 like that. Oh, I didn't paint it. Oh shit. Oh, paint it and then apply. Then for a green, I'm gonna isolate that. Then I'm gonna use this hex, which is 0B 0B 0B. Then paint, apply. Then for blue, I'm just gonna be using it's just gonna be like the default black, which is all zeros. So paint it black and then apply. And it should end up like this brownish color. And it's starting to look a lot better now. Last thing we need to do is go here. I'm going to clear the parent on the model or the mesh. And I'm going to recenter the origin and then create the drawable again. This is just so it's in the right position. And now all we need to do is go to the Y type and then select this. I'm going to embed this texture real quick. So go here, select your drawable, add it. Then for the archetype flags, add the, I think it's this one, yeah, 8192. Then go to your MLO, add it as an entity. Then for the flags, what I'm going to be using is this. Enable unknown 2, unknown 20 and 21. Disable shadow for entity and object will not cast shadows. Then make sure you add it to your room. Hopefully if you've done everything correctly, it should show up in game and work as intended.